Patrick, talk to me about SlashNext's recent groundbreaking research into how cyber criminals are leveraging AI for nefarious purposes.
Yeah. So as I just mentioned, so my team, we're constantly out there researching the new techniques, right? How do you exploit someone, right? We kind of started, early on. My team came out of FireEye. So we started seeing new tricks of using what we call trusted services, like these links that you can go back to Joe Bad Guy, very easy to discern. Started seeing, hey, it's coming from Google, it's coming from Microsoft, any of these free services they were embedding in their attacks. Very difficult. We then started seeing CAPTCHAs, right, used in this, right? How do you put these new CAPTCHAs in front so you, am I a robot? Well, they were using those techniques. We then started seeing transitions to, again, in the email side, these natural language BEC attacks, right? Very sophisticated, start exploiting. Well, as I just mentioned, the kind of the latest iteration of these attacks, these phishing attacks, is it really started with these evil twin tools. And so my research team uncovered what's called Worm GPT. This was about February, March of this last year. And in that process, what we noticed is that they were kind of taking the open source models, GPT-2, GPT-3, and that's also important because it took three guys to actually take that, and they built the evil twin tool, and they built a BEC module on that tool. So, and they built the API connectors. So for $60 a month, which they do charge on the dark web, for $60 a month, I now have access to a weaponized system that I can launch these BEC attacks at scale. By the way, one final piece, what we've noticed here, and this is very scary, if it's not successful the first time, it can rewrite and drive a new kind of launch. So that, as we've seen with anything, and this has been evolutionary, I've been in security for far too long, going back to 96, I think. There's still the same technologies at its core, but the evolution of use of the automation of now AI is the scary part of this, and kind of removing the human element to do these things at scale. That's exactly what this Worm GPT, there's Fraud GPT, there's a bunch of the tools that we're now seeing that kind of mimic this same approach. And that just, at the end of the day, it now becomes, how do I become a threat actor at scale with zero cost?
Yeah, how can we use AI to defend against stuff like that?
Hey, again, I'm a big fan. I've said this time and time again. You have to fight AI with AI. Don't trust 100% your users to identify these phishing things through training. As I mentioned, the head of the NSA can no longer tell if it's a real email or not. So with that as a context, you have to now use AI controls as part of your defense in depth, meaning turn those humans into superhumans, right? Augment them with computer vision, augment them with NLP engines, right? That can look at spoken language, and then augment them with, almost as your brain does, contextualization, right? So it's thinking and it's looking at things on its own. Net, put AI controls in place that are fighting these new AI attacks. Because we have the ability, not everything's perfect out there, but we have the ability through our systems, and they're all organic, right? We have organic machine learning and AI for links. We have it for files. We have it now for QR codes, right? We're the first to ever do real-time computer vision on QR codes. And then finally, we use Gen AI models for text, right? So we're actually, anytime something's launched in a Gen AI, let's talk about Worm GPT, we're anticipating what the future iterations are. Like, so we'll take a core attack and we'll spawn 50 iterations of that same core attack. And then we'll make a decision across all 51 versions of that, which gives us a near zero false positive rate. And then, but again, we're also now about 99.99% detection because we're making it across all 51 versions. So net, yeah, whether it's us or anyone else, you do need to basically augment your systems with true AI, generative AI, obviously being the latest for the tech side of the equation. So you can put those controls in place and help your users so you don't rely on training. Pull them out before they actually interact with your users.